So I'm really thrilled to be here with you today and talk to you about Agile HR. So something that might be an unusual topic for RTEs, but something that is very important to you. And I'm sure we're going to have some great conversations and great discussions. So the first question I always get is, how did you actually get into Agile HR? So I started my career in finance. So I'm a data gal at heart, but more than 20 years ago, I was a strategy consultant, and my boss at the time said, oh, can you go to this company, do a restructuring of their HR department? Well, 20 odd years later, I'm still in human resources. I'm still loving it. And it's never been this challenging to be in human resources as right now. And actually, for the first time in our history, we get to reinvent human resources. But we are going to do this together. And in 2010, I was running the Swiss market for one of Europe's leading HR consultancies. And we were looking for a new leadership model for our career starters. And I met some Agile coaches and they're like, oh, you have to do Scrum. I'm like, what? Did you hear me say that we are an HR consultancy? Please trust me, this is the right thing to do. And I have to tell you, it was just such an eye-opener that I decided there and then to quit my job and dedicate the next phase of my career to Agile HR. And it's been a blast ever since. And so what are we going to talk to you about today? So this is all about how can we leverage HR as an accelerator of business agility. Because even though we've talked about Agile HR for quite some time now, it's still something that is underestimated and overlooked as a key factor in achieving business agility. Sometimes we're so focused on the practices that we actually forget to look at the people side. But if you think about it, the real differentiator today is all about people. If you think about Agile, it's all about how do we focus on people and how can people really build on their strength and maximize their collaboration and value contribution. But when you think about it, we moved into this augmented era and human economy. But the way that we interact with people, the way we scout for talent, the way we enable talent, the way we accelerate performance is still done with a very different and very old mindset. But the problem is, if we are working in an agile way, but we are approaching people topics with that old mindset, how are we supposed to get collaboration if we focus on individual contributions and individual performance and success? How are we supposed to get innovation if we're not embedding learning into the workflow? How are we supposed to get a growth mindset if we only focus on a few select high potential candidates? How are we supposed to get relentless improvement if improvement plans are something that you put people on who are underperformers? So we really have to change our mindset there in order to make things happen. So in order to get that thriving ecosystem that we're looking for in Agile organizations, we need to align our people approach. Because no matter how successful your Agile transformation is, if you're not aligning your people approach to the new way of working, you're not getting the maximum of your Agile transformation. And here is the first question for you, and you can put your answers into the chat. What do you see are the biggest HR-related impediments? And here I'm really talking about HR systems, HR processes, HR tools. What do you see is hindering you from really utilizing HR as an accelerator of business agility? So we have individual goals and bonuses. Excellent. Thank you for kicking us off. Too long to onboard. Yes, that time to hire, time to speed up is taking too long. Alignment, collaboration. Everyone is a project manager. That may not necessarily be an HR topic, so we leave that out. We have micromanagement, role changes, no clarity in job descriptions, disconnection. Okay, I can see your challenges here. Wow, they're really coming in, and that indicates how much this is actually impacting your business and the success of your art and your team. Okay. Good. So keep them coming, and we have some more questions around this in our breakout sessions. So here are some of the things that we see, and you've already listed some of them. It's the meaning of performance, for instance. So the way that we have that lack of shifting from performance management to performance acceleration. We have those ratings in HR. We have pay for performance. We have outdated job descriptions that are not being used. We have competency models that are outdated. We have compensation still being used as key motivator. So there's so many things that are not aligned. But at the same time, we also have to be fair to HR. The reason why they are not aligned is because HR was created, or existing HR systems were created for a very different world. So it's not that it was done with bad intentions or that the system didn't work to begin with, but they're just not aligned with the way that we are working today and the way that Agile teams are working. So, but what happens when we actually align our people approach, our people processes to the way that we are working, to Agile? We get more collaboration. We get more creativity and innovation. We get more learning and growth. We get more value contribution. We get more engagement and employee happiness. So a lot of good things are going to come out of aligning your people approach to the way that you're working. And that is also the way that you can boost the return on investment in your Agile transformation. And here, it doesn't matter that much whether you're just getting started with Agile or if Agile is just the way that you are and doing things. So if you're already a long way into your transformation, by aligning HR topics to the way that you're working, you're really boosting your return on investment. You're getting much more out of the way that you're working. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, well, but how do we do this? What are some of the things that we can do or have to do in order to improve that return and improve our business agility? So I picked 5 different topics here, and I know we could talk about each one of these for the entire session, but we have our breakout sessions to dig a bit deeper. Okay. So the first one up is leverage communication and change management, or as we prefer to call it, change enablement, because change is the new normal. So we have to embed that into the workflow. But especially when you're getting started with your transformation or you're introducing new tools or new practices, think about the way that you're communicating that change and use Agile values and principles in your approach to communication and change management. To give you an example, we want to have a pull system, not a push system. So information shouldn't be just dropped on people top down. People should be able to pull that information. They should be able to share information. We want to have that continuous dialogue, and we want to understand the why before the action. And you can really reach out to HR, because HR has a change management department. So there are change experts in the organization that can help you with managing and leveraging communication and change management. Then the second one is improve the way we scout for talent. And here we first have to define what is a talent, who is a talent. In the old world, a talent system is, is considered someone with a high potential to climb a predefined career ladder. So someone who has the potential to become a senior manager or lead the organization. But that's no longer the definition of talent in the Agile space. Talent is about how do we build on the strength of people. And we have to open up the way that we look for talent. The way that we spot hidden strengths, obvious and hidden strengths, and the way that we use them across the organization. And this starts by looking at the way that we're hiring people, so hiring for more diversity forward, and making sure that we hire people for potential. And here, let me show you what we mean by potential. Okay. So, right now, we are in the 4th era of talent spotting. So when we have those different eras of talent spotting, We are in the fourth era. Okay. So the first era of talent spotting was all about physical attributes. So it's going back to a time when we had to build bridges and dig tunnels. It was all about, do we have people with the right physical attributes to do the work? From there, we moved into the second era of talent spotting. This was all about IQ. So we hired the smartest people from the best universities to do the job. And then in the third era of talent spotting, we moved into competency. So work became more specialized. So we had to put in what skills does someone need, what experiences does someone need in order to be successful. And then we are in the fourth era of talent spotting, and this is all about potential. But this is not the potential to climb a predefined career trajectory. This is about the potential to succeed in a fast-changing world. Can someone flex their muscles? Can they learn and unlearn things? Can they thrive in that world of uncertainty? Can they thrive in an agile world? So we really have to change the way that we are looking at talent and the way we scout for talent. And one talent group that we always forget is in-house talent. So when we have new opportunities come up, quite often we look outside. You know, we try to hire new people where we don't give growth opportunities to our in-house folks. And we need to change that. And also hand in hand with that goes talent enablement. So how do we build on the strength of people? How can we embed learning and growth into the workflow in a way that helps people flex their muscles, grow, and take on new challenges? And that has to be done in a more personalized, more targeted manner. And we have to invest in everyone in the organization. And then we have that focus on performance acceleration. So right now we talk a lot about performance management, but the thing is we can't really manage performance anymore the way we could in the olden days. Back in the day when we had a business model that kept us going for decades, it was easy to slice and dice work and to give everyone the task that they were supposed to be doing. But that's no longer the way that work works today. And we have to understand what is the definition of performance. In the old days, performance was task completion. You were given a set of things to do, and at the end of the year, we're going to tick those boxes. We're going to see, did you meet or exceed our expectations, or were we not happy with you? But that's no longer the definition of performance. Performance means value contribution. We need to collaborate. We need to co-create in order to solve the problems we never had to solve before. And that changes the definition of performance. And that changes the way we look at performance. So we need to understand that we can't manage performance in this new world, but that we can create an environment that is conducive to high performance, where we can help the teams and the individuals accelerate performance. And that's a big mindset shift. And we also have to figure out how are we using data and metrics to help teams improve. And that means we forget performance appraisals and ratings. That's no longer the way to go. We need to really build on an individual strength to accelerate performance. And then last but not least, we have to remember the importance of appreciation. So especially since COVID, people don't feel appreciated and recognized at work anymore the same way that they may have done in the past. So we need to come back to creating that culture of recognition and appreciation. We need to rethink our motivational approach and really shift away from that bonuses and incentives and merits as a way to give purpose and meaning to people, and really think about, you will know that phrase with motivation for mastery, autonomy, and purpose. Okay, so these are just 5 sort of highlights of things that you could do to really improve the way that you're leveraging the human aspect of work across your arts. So, and we have to talk about how do people do that? How do organizations actually change HR? So how do they apply Agile HR? And there are two of the most common approaches that we see is, one, we have the change that is led by what we call the innovation hub. So either it's an innovation hub or it's the Agile part of the business. So they are already working in a different way, and they are changing the way that they do performance management, compensation, whatever HR aspect or practice you're looking at. So this is purely driven by the Agile part of the organization. And typically what happens when you apply this approach is that you have an interdisciplinary team working, so you have part HR folks, you have Agile folks in the engagement team to really change the way that you're approaching HR. And it's driven and financed by the Agile part of the organization or that innovation hub. Now, this is a very intriguing approach, not just for the Agile part of the business, but also for HR. Because HR often knows that there are better ways of doing things. They are striving to find those better ways of doing or engaging with people. And this gives them a way to experiment, to explore with new ways of doing things. So HR often has an interest in this approach as well. But then we also have a purely HR-led change approach. So where the Agile HR transformations and change of practices is really driven through HR. So you have your compensation folks or performance management folks or talent management people who change the way that they are doing things. Now, here is the challenge, is that obviously when it's HR-led, they are creating a solution for the entire organization. Now, here's the challenge. Quite often, the Agile part of the business may constitute 10% up to maybe 25% of the entire organization. But HR, when they are embarking on reinventing performance management, talent management, what have you, they are trying to find a system. They're trying to find a practice that is working for the entire organization, whether they're working Agile or not. So, and that's why we see more and more organizations say, okay, we are going to drive the change that is needed through the Agile part of the business. Now, here is how to get started. So, first step is connect to your HR leadership. Ask them what keeps you up at night. Offer them to give them a platform where they can experiment and explore new ways of doing things. So, but really connect with HR leadership. You may go through your HR business partner, but your HR business partner may not be the right person to do this. You probably have to go higher up in the organization to reach out to them and talk through the challenges that you are having with the existing practices and figure out a way to get them to launch those initiatives. Then the second step is we need to inspire and train HR. We need to inspire them about the potential of bringing Agile to HR, and we also need to train them in using the right language, the right understanding of what is changing, why is it changing. And here, as Silvia mentioned earlier, you can get started, for instance, with the becoming enabled yourself, or having someone in your organization become enabled to teach the Agile HR Explorer course. This course has been around for 8 years, so it's a proven course, and it's a great way to introduce human resources to Agile. And it also talks about the difference between Agile for HR and HR for Agile. So if you haven't heard about these differences, just write that down. So we have two sides to HR. So one is Agile for HR, and the other one is HR for Agile. So when we use the term human resources, there can be two meanings attached to it. One is human resources as an organization, as a department. And here we use Agile for HR. So how do we take Agile practices and ways of doing things to our HR department. So this is about reorganizing HR around value streams, introducing agile practices to help them deliver value in an agile way. Whereas the flip side is when we talk about HR as a practice, so HR as performance management and compensation and talent management, we talk about how do we leverage HR practices to enable the agile organization to take you to the next level. And this is all about translating agile values and principles into your HR practices. So, and you can become enabled through the Safe Studio, and we also offer complementary pairing slots. So if you're teaching for the first time, you can have myself or one of my colleagues join you and co-teach the class with you. Okay. So, and once you have everyone trained, start co-creating and collaborating. So take one of your initiatives, be it performance management, being role clarity, whatever it is, and start co-creating. Start using an agile approach, an iterative approach to get this done. And it is quite a lengthy road. So we are challenging every aspect of human resources, but it's a road worth traveling. And we see such a huge difference in organizations who apply or realign or align agile HR and agile, and really make sure that their people approach, their HR practices are in line with the way that their organization is working. And I can give you some data points here. So one of our clients was already working as an agile organization, and they always looked at their eNPS score. So that's the employee Net Promoter Score, which is a very straightforward, simple question. How likely are you to recommend your organization, our organization, to friends and colleagues? And if people say, yes, we're super likely to do it, they get a high score. And the organization itself, so in year one, this was before we got started with the Agile HR transformation, the organization overall had a Net Promoter Score of 38, and the tribe or part of the business that we were working on had a score of 36. So tribe or art. Then, so this was year 0. In year 1, so after we started with the transformation, the overall organization had a Net Promoter Score of 37. So that was just 2 points on top. But the team that we were working with had a score of 55. So that was 19 points plus. So this is just really showing you that if you're aligned in the way that you're working with the line, aligned with the way that you're dealing with your people, the way you're helping them grow in the organization, can have a significant impact. And I hope you get started. You are already on a journey to align your HR practices, or you're getting started with it. And I'm opening up the floor here for questions. As I said, it's a long road, but it's a road worth traveling. And you'll see that you're going to have some amazing HR people that you're going to work with along that journey. And together, you can really change the trajectory of the organization. So thank you so much so far, and then we're going to open up the floor for questions.